So my friends, your subscription is worth it. I've got the spoilers packed with hot Elbaf news, because in Elbaf not just one more Holy Knight appears, no, there will be two in this chapter. One of them even arrives in their hybrid form as an awakened Zoan user. The plan of the Holy Knights is becoming a bit clearer now, but for Shamrock Fegerland, the twin brother of Shanks, things seem a little different. And who would have thought? Gaban is vastly superior to Luffy in this chapter, at least in this key battle, as expected. Chapter 1140 is titled Scopper Gaban, which I think is awesome because half of the chapter focuses on the fight between Scopper Gaban and Luffy, while the other half reveals the entire plan of the Holy Knights. Alright, now let's dive in. On the cover page, who is it? Who could it be? Well, we see who's who attacking Ulti with a knife. Kinda shady, I have no idea where this is going, but okay. Meanwhile, inside the castle on Elbaf, the fight for the key to Loki's chains continues. Scopper Gaban took the key from the treasure chamber and now says, alright, come on, take the key from me, let's fight for it. He probably just wants to test Luffy to see what he's made of. And I can already spoil this for you. Luffy is not looking good. It seems like he didn't pass the test or whatever this is, because Gaban is completely controlling the fight. He has the upper hand the entire time and is dominating Luffy with ease. For those who don't understand what's happening, how is this possible? How can this old geezer who just appeared out of nowhere dominate Luffy, one of the emperors, the strongest man who defeated Kaido, the strongest creature alive? How can this be? It's almost ridiculous. Many are probably thinking the same thing. How is this possible? The key factor here is advanced observation haki. That's why Luffy can't land a proper hit, while Scopper Gaban can. Luffy simply can't see far enough into the future because Scopper Gaban is blocking him. That's my strong theory. Though it hasn't been fully revealed yet why Luffy's struggling and why this old geezer holding a giant key is making him look ridiculous. Luffy even gets angry. He stands there frustrated and then he goes into Gear 5. So, for everyone who thought, yeah, Gear 5 doesn't stand a chance, we don't know that yet. Luffy is so furious that he can't land a hit that he activates Gear 5, and then Zoro jumps into the scene. He wants to fight alongside Luffy. So now we have Gear 5 Luffy and Zoro with his three swords facing off against Gaban. But then Gaban just says, ciao and bye-bye. He gives up and hands them the key. So in a way you could say they passed the test, right? Since he willingly gave them the key, but on the other hand, it's still strange that Gaban had the upper hand the entire time. It didn't seem like Luffy actually managed to prove himself in the fight. I'm really curious to see where this goes next. Maybe we'll get another take from Gaban on this. Either he just found Gear 5 and Zoro too much to handle and thought, alright, if that's the only way you guys can fight, then here, take the key. Or maybe this was really just a subtle test of Luffy's haki, and we'll get more clarification on that later. Anyway, for now we switch scenes. After all of this, we move over to the Holy Knights, specifically to Gunko and Shamrock, the twin brother of Shanks. These two are traveling on some kind of strange arrow dragon, heading toward the children of Elbaf, whom they plan to kidnap in order to blackmail the giants into joining their side. But for this plan, they also wanted to summon another Holy Knight. At first, we thought they might use the summoning circle inside the Oris Castle, where Luffy, Scopper Gaban, Zoro, and the others are currently fighting. However, it turns out they're doing things differently. We finally get a better look at this summoning circle from the world government's perspective. Gunko creates a new summoning circle, this time deep in a forest. We don't know exactly how she's doing it. Whether she's drawing it or forming it in some other way, the summoning circle is called Ise, which means abyss. And then she, or rather the Holy Knights as a whole, summon two more Holy Knights. So now we have 4 Holy Knights present on Elbaf out of a total of 9. If we consider Shamrock as their leader, that would mean that at least 50% of the Holy Knights' strength is now gathered here on Elbaf. And now, we move on to the 2 new Holy Knights. The 2 Holy Knights that were summoned, this is where things get really crazy. The first one is Saint Samars from the House of Shepherd. And yes, Shepherd is a name we already know. Remember Saint Shepherd Jupiter, the blonde Gurosei? He's also from the House of Shepherd. That's how he was introduced to us. So, could Saint Samars be his son? I can totally see that. Or maybe he's a relative, perhaps even his brother. We don't really know, because the Gorosei don't age. It's also possible that Jay Garcia has been in power for hundreds or even 800 years, and Saint Samars is actually his great-great-great-great-grandson. What we do know is that Saint Samars is a tall man with long hair, a beard, and glasses. I'm really looking forward to seeing his design. Now, the second new Holy Knight is Saint Gillingham from the House of Lemotif. These are some strange noble families that are suddenly being introduced, and we're just going to have to get used to them. The Celestial Dragon bloodlines are finally being revealed, But here's the real bombshell. Saint Gillingham is summoned directly in his hybrid awakened Zoan form, and his fruit, the Kirin mythical Zoan. That means he has the Kirin devil fruit, which is based on a powerful creature from Japanese mythology. The Kirin is often described as a two-horned deer mixed with a unicorn, a mythical beast that is said to be all-powerful, almost like a miracle creature. Because of that, his mythical Zoan fruit is likely insanely overpowered. And it gets even wilder. According to legend, the Kirin has a special ability. It can burn people who it deems wicked or impure. So we're about to see some seriously strange and terrifying abilities in action. So far, we've only seen the abilities of one of the new Holy Knights. As for the other one, we still have no idea what kind of power he has. He just showed up without revealing anything. At that moment, Shamrock immediately questions the two Holy Knights, asking, "Why are there two of you? I only needed one." To which Gillingham responds, "You're right, but orders from above take priority. You must return to Mary GOI's immediately." That means Shamrock, the twin brother of Shanks, is being recalled. He has been assigned to a higher mission somewhere else. This is obviously disappointing. Many of us wanted to see a fight between Shamrock and Luffy, or Shamrock versus Gaban, or even Shanks fighting his own brother. But don't worry, we're still getting all of that. And since we now know that the Holy Knights can be summoned instantly, it's not really a huge loss. Shamrock could reappear anytime, anywhere. The real question is, will we see him again soon, or was this just a brief introduction to his character? I'm really curious about that. Before leaving Elbaf, though, Shamrock leaves behind something big, what I'll call the Easter egg of this chapter. He wants to start a game. At first, this seems really out of place. I mean, these are serious Holy Knights from the world government, so why would they be playing a game? It feels a bit ridiculous at first glance. But on the other hand, though, I can't help but think about Shamrock Fegerland, Shamrock's father. He was also introduced through a game, if you can even call it that, back in God Valley. That so-called game was all about slaughtering innocent people, racking up points, and competing in some twisted bloodbath. He was even crowned as the champion of it all. So now I'm really wondering, what kind of grotesque game is Shamrock planning here? Since their goal is to kidnap children, could it be some kind of sick competition? Like whoever kidnaps the most kids wins? That would be absolutely messed up, but it wouldn't be surprising. Maybe it's not that straightforward though. Perhaps it's more like a manipulative challenge, a twisted incentive system. After all, Shamrock is the leader of the Holy Knights. He might say something like whoever captures the most children gets rewarded with X. This could be a classic carrot and stick approach, dangling a prize in front of them to make them compete. I also can't help but get Enel flashbacks from Skypiea. Remember how he had that game with his priests? Regardless, I'm hyped to see how this plays out, and honestly, it's kind of a good thing that Shamrock is temporarily out of the picture. Now, the other Holy Knights can finally be tested in battle against the Straw Hats. This way, we get a proper power scaling for them. Also, no break next week. So, what happens next? Now that the Straw Hats have the key, the most logical move would be for them to head back underground to free Loki. But when they find him, he might already be gravely wounded, maybe even on the verge of death. With his last bit of strength, Loki could warn them there are two Holy Knights. This would connect the dots, tying the intruders in the castle to the larger threat at hand. At that point, the search for the enemy would begin. Maybe Gaban will sense an aura with his haki and pinpoint their location, and once that happens, pure chaos will erupt. We'd officially enter the stage where the battle, maybe even an all-out war, begins. But I also think the Holy Knights will operate in the shadows at first. Instead of diving straight into battle, they might focus on kidnapping children and carrying out their schemes behind the scenes. This would make advanced observation haki a crucial tool for Luffy and the Straw Hats, allowing them to counter these hidden threats and get stronger in the process. What do you guys think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. That's it for now. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. Gently, we don't want any broken screens. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? A personal invitation? Well, consider this one. That's all for today. See you in the next video, unless I get lost on the internet. Until then, stay awesome and